always find inquiry to be a very powerful tool. And because of my most recent discovery, my realization that God is all there is, the next logical question that my mind posed to me was, what is it that I am if God is all there is? In this video, I want to dive deep into this ultimate truth of God is everything and understand what it is that the self becomes once we have this realization. But before I begin, if at any point you find that this video is helpful, then please like and subscribe so more people have access to this information. The idea of self. Once I had this experience of realizing that God is all there is, that that is the ultimate truth, I realized that this idea of self is simply that. It is simply an idea. It's simply this amalgam of concepts, of beliefs, of things that I've bought into during the course of my life that has allowed me to think of myself, as a separate entity. It's sort of like how made up starting a business is. You know, you get your business license and you get your bank account for that business. You have your tax ID number. You have your business cards made. You tell everybody, oh, this is the name of my business and this is what it's about. And a human being is really no different. The moment that we're born, we're given a name, we're given a social security number. We're constantly being conditioned through our surroundings and being told, this is how you are. These are your natural tendencies. This is the way you need to behave, the way you need to be. And so we take on all of these beliefs, all of these ideas of who it is that we think that we are. But in truth, it's all made up. I love Eckhart Tolle, and I've watched so many of his videos over the course of my life. And one of the things that he always says is,
this mind-made sense of self is also much more focused on the negative than the positive. To be free, you awaken to who you are beyond your history and your life situation.
what I understand about it now is that self is just this made up idea. It is a man made thing. It isn't really what you are or what I am. It's not at all the truth of what is. All suffering is an identity problem. All of the suffering that you feel, not the pain, we can have pain, we can have physical pain, we can have lots of different types of pain, but suffering is what we add onto the pain, on top of the pain, and it amplifies the pain and it prolongs the pain. And all of our suffering comes simply from identifying with self, identifying with this self with a small s, this egoic idea of self. I find that my entire life, I've been trying to uphold this idea of self, and it is exhausting. It is so tiring to try to continue to build that up, to make that into something so that that woman is successful, so that woman is loved, so that she's accepted, so that she is somehow going to leave some sort of legacy behind, that her life was meaningful and important, and that she had friends and people that loved her and that she was loving. Now, all of those things are wonderful things, but it's still rooted in this idea of self. Instead, when you begin to realize that you can identify with this limitless God self, this understanding that there is nothing else but God, that that is the true reality, yourself, you as a separate being, absolutely disappears. You now become enmeshed, completely immersed in God. And when that happens, you do not feel the need anymore to uphold this idea of this little self. And it is so liberating. It is so incredibly liberating when we let go of that. You feel free. You feel free to just experience life, to show up and be present, be here now. And it's exciting. Life becomes exciting. Life becomes lighter. Life becomes freer. It's an interesting exercise to observe and reflect on any time during your life when you've actually felt suffering. And you can trace it back to this concept of self. You can trace it back to this need, this wanting, this grasping, this clinging to uphold this sense of self, this sense that I'm important, that I'm special. What I love so much, one of my favorite lines in A Course in Miracles is everyone is special, which means that no one is, right? Because everyone is special, because everything is God. So everything is special. And when you begin to see the world in that light, in that way, you realize that you are part of that. You must be just as special as everything else. And then you can begin to let go of needing to uphold this idea that you, that self, is somehow special, that self is somehow needing something special, that self is somehow less special than another self that you see, or another thing that you see, or another situation that someone else has been gifted. When this idea of self begins to dissipate, when it dissolves, you realize that you are part of everything. You are connected to all that is, because there is only all that is, which is God, which is source. You know, when I was dancing, one of the things that I respected the most was the simplicity in things, was balancing on one leg. You know, that was really the most difficult thing. The more complexity that we add to things, the more we get to hide behind that complexity. But when we keep things simple, like balancing on one leg, there's nothing that we can hide anymore. And this is true with self. You know, when you let go of self, there's nothing that you need to hide behind anymore. What you are becomes merged with all that is. And then you realize, oh, I don't need to pretend anymore. I don't need to uphold anymore. I don't need to focus on me. I can now focus. I can take my awareness, which is what I actually am, and I can take that and I can place it on the beauty that is everywhere, on the God that is everywhere. I can feel into that. I can experience that fully now because I'm not in my head living this weird idea of myself, trying to make myself better. Who you are is perfect because you are God, because God is all there is. And this doesn't mean that you need to relinquish taking care of this body that you're in temporarily and all of the duties and responsibilities that you have in your life to serve, to be a human in the world, right? All of those things are responsibilities, are important. I'm not telling you at all that you should just sit somewhere in the middle of nowhere and be and meditate all day. That is not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that in order to find this incredible freedom that is the true reality, one needs to learn how to begin to see that there is no self, that there is no you, that this idea of you is a made up thing, and that you can begin to allow that to just fall away. And when you do, you feel so incredibly free. I love you all so much. Until next time, remember to let go. Let go of trying to be anything other than the truth of what you are.